How to hire an architect. If you have seen our earlier videos, you would by now have enough reasons to consider the next step, which is to hire an architect to help you materialize your dream home. But where do you even start? Selecting an architect seems to be such a daunting task, considering there are many out there, each with their own design style, flair and strengths. The following tips hopefully will help you in making the selection. 1. Qualifications. This is the most basic thing to check, yet many are not aware that only a qualified registered architect is allowed to practice and set up his company as an architectural practice. The first thing to check is, only a qualified person who is registered with the Board of Architects or Lembaga Architect Malaysia, LAM, can be considered as a qualified architect. A simple check with the Board of Architects will reveal if he is registered and has the relevant certification and credentials. 2. Resume and portfolio. An effective way of sieving out the architects that can meet your objective in building your dream home is by checking out his work. Most architects have their portfolio loaded up on their website, and it is quite easy to get an overall feel of the sort of work they do and their repertoire. Make sure that they have extensive experience in building the types of home you have in mind. The big corporate-type firms usually carry out large commercial projects and may not be interested in carrying out small commissions like a house, so it's best to look up medium to small practices that specialize in residential projects. Narrow down the architects that produce the sort of work that stands out or captures your imagination and is based on the style and feel you are looking for. 3. Sustainable and green credentials. If sustainability is a priority to you and you feel that a proper home has to be energy efficient, with a low carbon footprint, then look out for architects that produce houses with these features. As global warming and environmental concerns of the destruction of our planet keep growing, it is hard to see why this point should be overlooked and not considered in your decision-making process. 4. The phone call. Once you have shortlisted possible architects, you could start with a simple phone call to access the personality of the architect and whether you think communication flows easily and whether you can get along, as it will be a long-term relationship. Gauge how interested he is in undertaking your project and whether he is willing to meet up with you to discuss your requirements and his possible involvement in the project. Be sure you are talking to the principal or director, and the next step is to make an appointment to discuss in more detail. Never ask for the architect's charges and fees during a phone call, as this is quite complex and depends largely on the construction budget. This can be discussed later when you meet. This is a very important stage of further narrowing down the architect of your choice, and there are important considerations to be made. You will need to see if you can get along with the architect. Is he someone who will dictate the whole design of your house, or is he the type who will follow and obey what you say, neither of which is useful? Remember that the relationship with your architect will go on for at least 2 to 3 years before the house is completed, so it does help if you have the same outlook, philosophy, and understanding. 6. His experience. The informal chat gives you the opportunity to see his office and how he runs it, as well as to check out the projects that he wants to share with you, and this is the best time to ask as many questions as you like. Ask if the company was to be awarded, if he, the principal or director himself, would run it, do the designs, share the meetings with the client, consultant team and contractor, inspect the site, if so how often, etc., or will he delegate some of the works to his subordinates. This will give you an idea on how committed he will be on the project. 7. His commitments. It would also be good to know his existing commitments and the amount of time he will have to be involved in your project. Ask him about the time frame needed from the design phase all the way to the completion of the works. If he has many projects to tend to, he may require more time to complete your project, or he may not be able to provide the necessary amount of time or attention required to see its successful completion. 8. Strengths and weaknesses. Find out what are his strengths and weaknesses. Some architects are good at design and are creative but may not be so good at contract administration or dealing with the contractor. On the other hand, some are good at contract details but may have a lesser flair with design. Frame your questions such that you can make your own assessments based on his response and draw your own conclusion. An architect handling bungalow projects will require to have a balance of good design skills, creativity as well as a competent knowledge on contractual matters, the building codes and bylaws, and the ability to stay organized. 9. The team. Find out the team of architects, designers and support staff he will put into your project for the various stages till completion. Also check with him on the other consultants that need to be engaged, like the engineers, quantity surveyor, interior designer, etc. Does he already have the consultants to recommend, and will he be able to obtain their fees and scope of works? Determine how he will coordinate the team to ensure the works are completed in a timely manner to avoid any delays. 10. The cost. Probably the most important question of all is what the overall cost is. The cost component will comprise of the building cost as well as the consultant's fees. Other costs that will not be included, in which you will need to allow a budget for, is the fees to pay the authorities, the loose furniture, fixtures and equipment, FF&E. The architect should be able to give a ballpark figure in terms of the construction cost after learning in detail of your requirements, estimated built-up floor area, expected level of finishes and fittings, and rough idea of architectural style. It must be remembered, however, that the figure is still very much a ballpark figure until the detailed design is completed, and only then he will be in a better position to advise on the likely cost. For architects, the fees is based on the percentage of the construction cost, which is based on a sliding scale. The higher the cost, the lower the percentage of the fees is, and vice versa, which is spelt out in the Architects Act. The fees schedule can be downloaded from this website, https://www.lam.gov.my/index.php/scale-of-min-fees.html. The rest of the consultant's fee is very subjective and depends on the level of service and quality of the consultants involved. Generally, fees are governed by the board of the professional associations the consultants belong to, but this can vary depending on the profession. However, as a general rule, the total consultant fees would range from 10% to 15% of the construction cost, depending on the size and complexity of the project. Summary and conclusion. After you have collected the data and information from various architects that you have shortlisted, you will be able to make an assessment on who would best suit you, considering the factors described above. Most clients tend to focus on the fees and the discounts they can get, but this is a total misguided approach. Focus instead on the value you are getting, as that will eventually determine your true total cost of the project. You are making a once-in-a-lifetime decision on your dream home, so you cannot afford to compromise on the importance of a competent architect that will be able to hopefully see to its fruition. Price is what you pay, value is what you get, Warren Buffett. Thank you for watching. Should you need more information, check out our website at www.mjkanny.com or subscribe to our YouTube channel.